I mentioned in my 2020 channel goals videos that I was going to bring back the TBR, because I also mentioned in that same video that I want to start recording a book review every month. And I said that for each month I was going to do a TBR video, and then I was going to leave up a poll at the end of the video whereby you could vote which book you wanted me to review in that month. Although I know I've already done a review for Children of Virtue and Vengeance, that review technically is for a December book. So I'm going to share my January TBR so you can help me choose which of these books you want me to do a review of this month. So we'll start with the number one book I am reading this month, and it's a book I have always wanted to kick off this year with, and that is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. The minute it was that Anna over at Snow White Reader mentioned that this is perfect for Six of Crows fans because it has a morally great character, it has amazing friendships, and it's also about an anti-hero who would do anything, who would lie, who would steal, who would manipulate, who would cheat to get what he wants, and also that it's an amazing heist type book. I knew I had to get it. I knew I had to read it, but I never got the chance to read it last year. And now I get the chance to do so, to see this book that so many people love, and to finally decide for myself if I'm also going to be a huge fan of the Gentleman Bastard sequence. So this is definitely the first book I am reading this year. It's the first book I'm reading this month, and I am so excited. You have no idea how excited I am to read this book. Now, most of these books I'm going into blind because I tend to like that for a lot of the books I read. I don't want to know as much about them. I try to know as little as possible so that I can be surprised, pleasantly surprised or unpleasantly surprised as the case may be. But yeah, definitely the first book I'm reading this year. I also intend to read P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han, which is the second book in the To All the Boys I've Loved series. For those that don't know, the trailer for the second movie is already out. Just like everybody who watched it, I screamed, I cried, I laughed. But unlike a lot of people that watched it, I still haven't read the books yet. I know that that movie is dropping in February, so January is the last possible month for me to actually read this book so that I can be ready for the sequel movie. This picks up from where we left off into All the Boys I've Loved before. I know that the movie completed the story in that Lara Jean and Peter got together, but at the end of To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Lara Jean just made up her mind to go after Peter, so they hadn't gotten back together. And I know that in this book they do get together, they do date, and then complications arrive because John Ambrose McLaren is back and apparently is the superior boyfriend. A lot of people think he's the superior boyfriend. I don't know. I've only watched the first movie, I've only read the first book, and Peter Kavinsky so far is amazing. But after I saw that snippet in the movie trailer with Jordan Fisher, Peter Kavinsky who? Another book I'm reading this month, Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. I know you're probably like, finally, Nora, you've had this book, you've spoken about this book, you've talked about how desperately you want to read this book, and you never got the chance to read it. And I'm so happy that I finally get the chance to do so. In this, we follow Zainab, who travels to Qatar, Doha to be precise, after she's suspended from school because she gets rightfully angry about a bigoted teacher. And on that journey, on that trip, she meets Adam, a boy who's dealing with the loss of his mother and the fact that he also has multiple sclerosis, but he does not want to tell his family because he doesn't want to put unnecessary burden on them. And I think there's a journal that goes missing, or rather that falls into another person's hands, and then they develop a relationship along the way. It sounds amazing. I've wanted to read this for like forever, and this is definitely the month when I will do so, because I repeat, it sounds amazing, and I'm sad that I've not gotten the chance to read this book yet. But January is definitely the month when I'm going to be reading Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. Another book I'm reading in January, Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly. This is a Cinderella retelling, but it's told from the perspective of the evil, ugly, wicked stepsister. Also, this fairy tale likes us to believe, but this story is very feminist. It kicks against the status quo. It talks about beauty standards. It talks about the people that society would consider unattractive, unwanted, that do not fit a certain mold, a certain characteristic type behavior that society expects you to exhibit for you to be the perfect girl. And our lead character in this book is definitely not the perfect red girl, and eventually she comes to the realization that she's perfectly fine with that. I've been wanting to read this cover is stunning, this entire premise itself is stunning. I have such high expectations because I know so many people who've read it who loved it, and definitely a book I want to read in January. If you saw the backlist standalone I want to read in 2020 video, you will know that this book featured on that list, and it's very high up, and I think it just makes perfect sense for me to kick off January by reading this book. So good. Another book I'm reading in January, The Never Tilting World by Peko. I have not yet read Peko's Born With series, but this is definitely a book. This is the start of a series, I think. But this is a book I have wanted to read ever since I first heard about it, and I pre-ordered it. So the minute it arrived, I was down to read it, but I never got the chance to read it last year, which was when it came out. So I moved it to January this year. In this, we follow the daughters of twin goddesses. Now, their mothers have sort of in a way broken the world as it exists, so that right now the world is divided. One part is in perpetual day and the other part is in perpetual night, and the same thing with extreme weathers. One part is really hot and the other part is really, really frigid cold. And these two girls, this daughter of these goddesses, decide to embark on a journey in order to heal their world, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to make that a reality, no matter the sacrifice it demands. I love this concept. I think they said that it's like Anastasia meets Mad Max. I'm not sure, but there are lots of secrets being kept. There are lots of things that these girls have no knowledge of, but they are still willing to push through it to heal their world. And I've heard that Peko's writing is just amazing, so I can't wait to read it. But definitely going to be reading The Never Tilting World by Peko in January. And finally, the last book on my January TBR, The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi. I have wanted to read this book ever since it arrived. Yes, it was my book of the month pick, and the minute I read the synopsis, I knew this was a book I needed to have. In this, we follow Hiram Walker, whose mother was sold from their plantation, and at that moment of sale, there birthed in him a power that he could not understand, a power that further reinforced itself when it saved him from drowning a couple of years after that. And with that save came a realization for Hiram that he had to rescue his family, he had to save his people, and so he goes on this journey where he meets both the enslaved and the slavers, and basically has to take a stand, all the while remembering that his one goal is to rescue his family. Very imaginative. Of course, Ta-Nehisi has a way with words, has a lyricism, a lush description to his writing, even though this is his first, I think this is his first fiction novel, because I do know that he has written non-fiction works, but I think this is his first fiction novel, and I've wanted to read it ever since I heard about it. I've wanted to read it ever since it arrived last year, but I never got the chance to pick it up, and so definitely a book I am reading in January. There you have it. Those are the 6 books I want to read in January. I probably will read more books than that, but I absolutely would read the 6 books in January. I am going to leave the poll up there. Let me know which of those books you want me to do a review on. If you also are following me on Twitter at Nora the Reader, I'm going to leave a poll on my Twitter account as well, asking you to please vote which of these books, yes, these 6 books you want me to review in January. But that is my TBR. If you liked it, please do not forget to give it a big thumbs up. Click on that like button. It really does help my channel. Check out my other videos. Subscribe if you want to, and if you do, please click on that notification bell so you can know whenever I put up new videos. We make new videos every Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'll see you soon. Until then, stay passionate, love books, love yourself. Bye.